Hello, I'm Kate McKay, and thank you again for joining me on my program titled How to Not Only Survive, but Thrive During These Challenging Times. And today I'm introducing Dr. Nancy Miggins. And Nancy is a double board certified chiropractor, and she just released also a new book that I'm really looking forward to talking to her about. And Nancy really promotes something that she calls radical gradualism as a way to really transform your health and wellness. Welcome, Nancy, and thank you so much for joining me today on the program.
Hi.
Hey, so Nancy and I know each other from a program that we're both in called Self-Publishing School, which has been a wonderful program for me and for both of us as we've just released books that have done very, very well and have reached bestseller status. So congratulations to you, Nancy, on your success.
And you as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. So today what we're going to talk about is the title is You Have More Control Over Your Health Than You Have Been Led to Believe. Man, that's loaded. Tell me about what that means. And I'm really curious mostly about this radical gradualism that you speak of.
Yeah. So in my experience and with thousands and thousands of patients, most often people came in feeling like, here's all my broken parts. It's up to you to fix them. Rather than having this sense of responsibility and control over the state of their health and well-being. And so I early on started to actually have this or try inspire this paradigm shift of inside out rather than outside in. So we do have more control over our health and healing potential than what we've been led to believe.
Right.
We've been pretty conditioned to wait until our symptoms are bad enough, then go to a doctor, receive treatment or medication for those symptoms, and then think all is well. But in reality, we're building ourselves either sick over time or healthy over time. It's not a stagnant state. So for instance, diabetes is rampant, right, in our society. And a lot of people don't understand that they have been on the track to be diabetic for 10, 20 years before they actually get a diagnosis. And it's during that time where you can actually do things to have a different health outcome.
Right. That's
and
so
avoid
true.
the disease in and of itself.
Well, it's so amazing now that this is sort of paralleling what's happening in our state of, viral economics. When I heard that expression, I think on Wall Street or Bloomberg, I was like, damn, that is it, viral economics.
Exactly.
And how that impacts our health and our wellness are directly tied into our money, to our, to our health, to our intimate relationships. It is completely, clearly I have a health and wellness background.
Right.
It's like, that's my vibe. And I've always been pitching, it's from the inside out, people. And, how do we approach that? Or how do we, well, number one, where are you now? I'd love for you to share the viewers, how are you managing this current crisis and where are you reporting from?
I'm currently in International Falls, Minnesota, which is considered to be the icebox of the nation.
Oh my goodness.
It's a pretty remote location in northern Minnesota on the Canadian border. Beautiful place. This is where I grew up, and I'm here helping out my parents. My mom had a major surgery a couple months ago, and so I'm here until her and my dad are fine to be on their own.
Wow, it's a lot. So big shift for you because you're originally from the hot box. You're in the refrigerator of our country way up yonder in Minnesota, and then but where you're from is actually where a lot of the coronavirus began, the birthing of it in our country.
I live on Bainbridge Island in Washington, which is an island directly off of downtown Seattle. It's like a 35-minute ferry ride right from downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently I flew out to Minnesota 2 days before the guy flew in from China, who then infected the people in the nursing home. Yeah.
Wow. Incredible.
So that was good timing.
Yeah, right. Really good timing. So what are you thinking if, for this time, do you feel like your messaging is shifting at all, or do you feel that you really we're talking about taking more responsibility in many ways? And I know you have some tips and strategies
Well,
in your book, but what is your take right now? How are you because you're a doctor and people are going to look for you for advice, what are you saying, Nancy?
so I've reached out and actually had some pretty meaningful and deep conversations with friends in Seattle, and just to get a pulse on, where are people at.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of stress and anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
uncertainty, self-doubt. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's really tough, and it sounds like everybody is throwing all the good habits that they have strived to create, they're throwing them to the wayside.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I can't go to the gym, and you know i'm I'm not waking up early because I don't have to go to work. I'm not
Mm.
going to the gym because it's closed. um you know i I'm having like FaceTime or Zoom parties with my friends and drinking wine.
Mm.
I'm, seeking out to be connected to people, but not really being able to go out and be
Mhm.
connected. Um, Many of them were saying, I'm not eating good.
Right.
It's like and, and I think, that's really tragic,
Yeah.
because now is really the time
Yeah.
to, focus in. I mean, if you could ever ask for a gift, it's like, okay, I'm staying home, I'm in a controlled environment, um, I'm in complete control of what I put in and on my body, I'm in complete control of my exercise, I'm in complete control of my hydration, I'm in complete control of my attitude, right? There isn't a lot of outside influence on that.
Well, I think that's the problem. I think that, people, honestly, that's my biggest concern as a transformational coach, because really what I do is I help people face the truth and transform their lives in really powerful ways by healing from the inside. And
Right,
oftentimes that's emotional wounds that are made manifest in physical ailments. It's just the way
right,
it is, right? So just like in medicine, it's no different from my personal training or my spiritual coaching or all the ways that I work with people. The conversation always starts with responsibility and oftentimes forgiveness of
right.
self and others. Self-worth, self-doubt, all of those emotions are also oftentimes stemmed from trauma, and
Exactly.
right, exactly. So how do we, in the midst of a crisis, expect people to take radical self responsibility? And that's really ultimately where we're at, and why I'm so driven to create this series where we don't need to be in survival mode. We need to be in a position of thriving and growing. This is ground zero in many ways for
Exactly.
us, emotionally as well as physically and financially, and in our intimate relationships. So how are we approaching that now? Again, this is a perfect opportunity, but what advice would you give people? Simple tools and strategies, as in what you describe in what I read about in your bio. What are those gradual steps that have a sense of urgency? Because I think what we're talking about is
Right.
now we really need to instill a little sense of urgency and the why that we want to make these changes.
Right. Well, one, I think that there's this assumption that, well, I can do anything for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in lockdown for 2 weeks. Well, what if it's 2 months? What if
Mm-hmm.
it's 6 months?
Right.
Right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you can let your mind go there or not, but instead of going, well, I can do this for 2 weeks and then I'll get back on my um, good habits and back in my routine. I think I think it's important to continue with all the positive things that you do, even now and especially now.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, you know, having a good solid morning routine,
Mm-hmm.
it sets you up for the day,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in my book and in my course, I encourage people to, you know, start off with water, and then have a morning green drink. Yay, good job. Have a morning green drink.
Right.
And what that does is it sets you up to make better choices throughout the day,
Yes.
right? If you mean, yeah, we'd all love a cinnamon roll or a donut or a croissant or whatever, but what does that do? I mean, it basically hijacks your brain,
Yes.
you know, and so then you're fighting that battle too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
starting your day off right with a positive routine, you know, drink water, have a green drink to
Mm-hmm.
help alkalize your body. Have some positive movement and breath work, you know, deep breathing. Yoga is probably the most efficient way to accomplish, you know, strength training, movement, and breath work
Yep.
and intentionality all in one. And there's some great apps out there. I love Down Dog, the Down Dog app, because you can you can do a, you know, 10-minute yoga routine, a 30-minute, a 60-minute, a 90-minute. You can start super basic. It can be restorative. It can be more intense. It can be
There's so
very
many.
advanced, right?
You know,
So
like
it's like,
if you think about what you love to do as a kid, this is oftentimes what I'll talk to about people, Nancy, is what did you love to do as a kid? Like I always loved to do stretching. And so I'm doing a 30-day do splits. So I'm like, every day I'm like, all right, I want to do splits. So it's like, that's what I often say to people when I'm talking about what is restorative for you or what it does
right,
like your soul for movement. Look at
right,
what you did when you were a kid. What did you love to do? Did you like climbing trees? Did you like, you know, being with people, without people? Embrace that and then incorporate it into your daily life. You like to climb trees when you were a kid? They're the stairs, you know?
right.
There are different ways that you can still recreate that movement. So I love your tips, and I'm just going to add those here as you speak.
Okay. Fun fact, my mom is 81 and she can still do the splits. Like she can like drop into them, and she's had both her knees replaced.
Oh my gosh.
So
You're gonna
there
have to
are
have
no
her, you're gonna have to
excuses for
post
you to
that
not
for
be
us.
able to do
You're gonna
the
have to
splits.
tell your mom we're gonna need her in the comments. We're gonna need to see your mom breaking down 81. I'm serious, Nancy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah. So,
So that's
um,
great. So what would you say, Nancy, because I know you have a lot of holistic and restorative tips in your book as well. What would you recommend for people who are going through emotional challenges or experiencing fear and anxiety right now at a peak level?
right. It's really important to keep a gratitude journal.
Mm,
And I resisted this for the longest time. And when I started doing it, it just was painful for me.
mhm.
And I read a little bit about this in my book, but I mean, I started and it was like, and I was really, I was in a, you know, I had just gotten divorced or amidst divorce, and, you know, I just, life was not in a, it was not in a good place. And so I was like, now's the time to do this.
Mhm.
And I would sit down and go, what can I even be thankful for? Everything is just a mess.
Yeah, everything's fall to shit.
Right.
Right.
And so I would be just like, you know, I'm happy for a warm cup of coffee.
Mm,
I'm happy for my daughter. I'm, you know, grateful for my dog. Right. And it'd be like days of like, really, that's all I can think about. Like, that's all I can come up with. And then pretty soon I was like, you know what? I am so grateful that some stranger complimented me on my smile.
ugh,
I am so grateful that this person opened the door for me. I'm grateful that, and then pretty soon it was, you know what? I'm very grateful for all of the abundance that I've been blessed with.
right.
I'm so grateful for the ability to be here and help out my parents. I mean, what a blessing, right? I mean, I'll never get this time back with them. This
Right.
has just been amazing. And I could look at it as, oh my gosh, I'm stuck in Minnesota at my parents,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
but this is really, it's really a blessing. And I just, when you start to condition your mind to look at things in a grateful and appreciative way,
Mm-hmm.
optimism takes root.
Right. And
And
it changes your body chemistry. I mean, this is the thing that
absolutely.
people don't understand is like, that's why exercise and movement is so key. And, you know, I'm 56 years old and I move around like I'm still 12. I mean, it's the gift of ADHD. But still, it's like, if I don't move a lot, I am in so much pain. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, like when I stopped training, I owned a gym a while back. And once I sold that, I was like, why am I in so much pain? I was used to moving so much more. So
Right.
it's the benefit of, and again, going back to like, what is it that you enjoy? And I wrote down gratitude journal. Is there anything else that you would recommend for people right now who are emotionally struggling?
The other two, well, and for people who still, I mean, our generation, we still know how to write,
Yes.
like pen and paper.
Mm-hmm.
Younger folks, I mean, they just don't, right?
No.
They know how to text really fast. There's an app called the 5 Minute Journal, and it's basically kind of focused on gratitude. And it also helps you set your intention for the day, and it helps you look back and go, here's what was awesome about the day. And you can put pictures. So it's a little more, I love looking back and watching like the transformation that I went through, because I
Wow.
can see it in photo and in words, and it's quick to do.
Is that is it an app?
It's an app.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I typed that in on the
Yep,
sidebar.
5 Minute
So
Journal.
people who are watching this are going to be able to see these notes
Yeah.
with all your awesome tips, including Nancy's book is also listed there for her, both her website and her book on Amazon, Mastering the Health Continuum, 8 Daily Practices to Boost Energy, Optimize Health, and Age Gracefully. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
The
cool.
other tool that I really like is, it's called HoloSync, and it's a brainwave entrainment technology. Um, I I really tested out a lot of different um, options with this, and
Mhm.
HoloSync is the one that I kept going back to, and I actually did some research with this. And if you go to my website in the recommendations, there's a link there
Okay, perfect. And you could
for
just
it.
type that in,
But
the name of the
okay,
that, because I don't know, I've never heard of that. So I love hearing tidbits of things I've never heard of.
there,
Awesome, thank you.
there. Yep. And what it does is, so when you're stressed out and your brain is in this sympathetic overdrive, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it wreaks havoc on a cellular level,
Yep.
from your mitochondria, which are your energy producers, from them being impaired, to hormone disruption, neurotransmitter disruption. I mean, everything goes awry when you're under this chronic stress load.
Yep.
And so what HoloSync does is, it's like efficient meditation without having to be able to focus.
Right.
How about that?
Right. No, it's
So, I
good.
mean, I just totally struggled. I mean, I did for years. It was like, okay, I'm sitting here and I'm imagining, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, okay, I see the seed inside the apple, and it's like, what kind of apple is it, and whatever, and is that like a sour apple? Is this whatever,
Right.
right? It's like,
Oh my
can
gosh, monkey mind to the nth
yes,
degree.
yes, and
Yep,
so
totally.
this, it achieves it without you having to stop the chatter.
Okay. Is it
Um,
brain waves? Because I listen to a lot of binaural beats.
yeah, it's binaural
Okay,
beats.
everything. Yeah.
But the way that, so so again, this technology, there's a lot of different products,
Yeah.
and from everything that I've used, this has been the key changer for me.
Excellent.
And basically what it does is you get two different frequencies, one in each ear, and then your brain has to synchronize those so it creates a third beat. The frequency of the tones help take you, from, say, beta to alpha, right? It calms your brain down.
Correct.
And I used to listen to it when I walked my dog. I used to listen to it when I commuted, in the bathtub.
Yeah.
And some of them, like early on, you would hear the ba wa wa ma ma na ni 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 ni, right?
Yes.
And it drives you a little bit crazy. But this, it's like you don't hear them. What you hear is rain and wind and a few chimes.
Right.
And so it's like
Well,
this
I use them
peaceful.
for everything. Like I Googled even just the ones that are good for ADHD and
Right.
focus, concentration and prayer and ocean sounds. And I've turned more, I'm actually surprised at how few people understand binaural beats.
Right.
I think in this time, this is really amazing because it even ties into the chakras, that every chakra
Exactly.
has a frequency. So when we're talking about sound healing, which I'm going to be interviewing somebody like that,
Oh, nice.
who does sound healing, and she does it with her shamanic training. So puts the warm bowls, the singing bowls,
Yep.
on your body and helps you heal those. And it's, Nancy, it's incredible. I'll definitely turn you on to that interview because I think you're really going to think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I completely agree. The ability for sound to heal, right? It's a big deal. And so how would you help people deal with the whole idea of, like you said, in 2 weeks, we can do this for 2 weeks and 3 weeks, and as it goes on, how do we deal with social isolation? That's a bit, I have a big concern about that, Nancy, because I think that once people get all their projects done in their house and their busyness, what's left?
So I can tell you, I'm an introvert, like serious introvert.
No, you're not.
Yes, yes, I am. And so I'm going, for once, I get to be the superhero.
So awesome. Right?
Right? It's like, what? Life is really no different for me. No.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I get it. It's like, because as humans, we need that contact, and especially people who live alone, right? I mean, that's just tough. And
Very much.
because you need to have conversation, and you need to see that you're not really alone, or feel that you're not completely alone, So I think it's important that, we're reaching out and touching base with our friends, our family, relatives, people that we care about, and just so they know we're thinking about them.
I know, and I'm thinking a lot about my people that I know that maybe before this happened thought everything's fine, and they're single or whatever, men and women. And then when this happens, it's like, no, I think it's bringing up maybe wounds that need to be healed, and to think that they're in isolation doing that. So I'm actually making a large concerted effort to reach out to people that are my age, younger and older, and listen, men too, because there's a lot of men that are by themselves and they don't have the ability to build bridges as easily and as readily as women do. So anyone who's listening that knows a man that's by themselves, or even of course a woman too, but if you know a man that's, you think, oh, he's all set, he's independent, this and that, they need connection, because this is critical time for men as we transition into
I like the idea that my friends had, not necessarily that, let's connect at, noon and we'll open up the wine. But, the idea that, okay, so you can't be in the same place, but it doesn't mean, with technology, we certainly can sit down and have dinner together.
Yes.
Right? We can, I don't know how you play cards or a game, but you can have a conversation. You can have a glass of wine, a cup of coffee, and see each other and talk and communicate and,
That's what
just,
I've loved about actually these interviews. And believe it or not, I'm more of an introvert than I'm extrovert. I'm an ambivert, but I'm not, I spend a lot of time by myself because I'm a creative. I write,
right,
I think, I learn, I'm always stewing about stuff. And so what I've loved about these interviews is how deeply intimate they are. Like
right,
literally, like our shoulders are squared to each other. Our hearts are energetically facing each other. Our faces and our eyes are looking at each other. And I
exactly.
can't tell you the last time I've had this much intimacy in these interviews. And I'm like, oh, I'm so lit up by them. Yesterday I didn't have any interviews. I did like 8 in like a short amount of time. And so today I'm like, oh, thank God, I got to like put some lipstick on, but that's okay. I can survive. So Nancy, we're getting close to the end, but I'm just checking in. Is there anything else that you would like to add? Again, we have your book listed here and people can reach out to you. We're going to list your ways that they connect you via your website. But is there any last minute things that you'd like to share with us today about how we can move from surviving to thriving during this challenging time?
Yeah, I think it's important that we all give ourselves some grace.
Mm,
Um, we don't need to make every choice perfectly.
mm,
You know, it is every choice does matter, but choosing to have a cookie or whatever, that's not the end of the world. It's
mhm.
just you need to keep your wits about you and know that you're really in control of those choices. And one choice may not matter, but those string of choices have a cumulative effect on your health and your healing potential. And
Right.
so, you know, those choices are either bringing you closer to health or closer to disease.
Mhm.
And so, this might be a disruption in our normal daily life, but um, you are in control
Right.
ultimately.
Yeah, and it's a disruption maybe that we can use to our advantage. I know Tony Robbins talks about it all the time. And sometimes just as a coach, I will use languaging that is to disrupt. And they'll be like, oh,
Right.
Katie, like, why'd you say that? That so they take it as like, but I'm trying to break
Exactly.
patterns. So what are the patterns, listeners and viewers right now that you're doing automatically? The self-doubt, the self-loathing. I'm not worth it. I'm too fat. I'm too old. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve love, right? These are the patterns and the stories. And then I'm just asking you, and Nancy and I are asking you, please understand that these are choices that you can change at any moment in time. And sometimes all it takes is one breath to bring healing. One
Absolutely.
breath to bring healing. Awesome. Dr. Nancy, thank you so much for joining me today. I really, truly appreciate it. And thank you all to you viewers who have been part of our journey as we move into this time of not just surviving, but thriving. And I'm here for you if you need any support or assistance. I am a coach by trade, so my schedule is flexible, but I do have some times available. And you can also reach out to Nancy, and she can also be here to support you as well. So peace out, much health and wellness to all of you, and I will see you again soon.